We've got our next lightning talk coming up here, which is going to be about our success story with the CalHEERS project, which is the system that runs our health benefits exchange in California, operated by Covered California and Department of Healthcare Services. The transformative project that you're going to hear about is a shining example of a multi-year journey to redesign and redeploy the platform as microservices in the AWS cloud using human-centered design to improve CalHEERS architecture and ultimate customer experience. So with that, please help me in joining and welcoming Dave Krause, the Deputy CIO for Covered California.
So good morning, everyone. Thank you. My name is, as Adam mentioned, my name is Dave Krause, Deputy CIO for Covered California. I want to thank you, Adam and TechCA, for giving me the opportunity to share with you our story of how we modernized our technology to serve the mission of providing Californians with affordable, high-quality health care, even under dire circumstances. So I'm going to bookend this with a little story to explain those dire circumstances. So it was early Friday morning this year, late in January, and there was 1 week left in our open enrollment cycle where we would see over 1.7 million Californians select insurance. And we received a call that Friday morning, like you guys probably have. It was like 4 in the morning, your phone starts buzzing, you're like, what's that about? And that call was from our technology provider letting us know that they had a cybersecurity incident. And that cybersecurity incident was severe enough that they had to disconnect all of our services. That included all the technology as well as all the phone systems that deliver those calls to the 1,200 service center representatives that we have available to assist Californians. So there was no time frame of resolution. We didn't even know the full extent of the incident at the time. So we were in a bit of a pickle. We were essentially unreachable to our consumers in the busiest week of open enrollment. So we had to do something and fast. But before we come back to that story, I want to tell you a little bit more about Covered California and CalHEERS. So back in 2013, Covered California and the Department of Healthcare Services co-sponsored a project called the California Healthcare Eligibility, Enrollment, and Retention System, or CalHEERS for short. And now it's currently managed by the Office of Technology and Solutions Integration, headed by Adam, or OTSI for short, with support from Deloitte. And CalHEERS, the system provides eligibility determinations for 1 in 3 Californians. That's a fairly sizable part of our population. After a decade, we noticed that the system that we had set up at the onset of the ACA was starting to strain under the weight of its business rules engine, the proprietary software components that we had, and the legacy infrastructure. During peak periods of open enrollment, 75% of our eligibility transactions took more than a minute to execute. Can you imagine the consumer experience when you're waiting for a minute to find out if something worked? After entering tons of data into a form and then you click submit and it just spins and spins and spins. A very, very bad consumer experience. We also had to throttle traffic for 7 full days because the system just kept melting down and going down. So we throttled traffic back to keep it up and running. We had issue tickets. 20% of our issue tickets took 60 days or more to resolve. So we had a bit of a problem in terms of dealing with that legacy system. So here's a look at the old system design, and I just wanted to highlight. You can see very large infrastructure, all on-prem, and I wanted to highlight the time to recovery for tech recovery was 2.5 to 3 hours. And that was our SLA. That was the best case scenario, that if we had a serious incident that it would take almost 3 hours to get back up and running. So we decided we wanted to modernize. And the way we started embarking on that is we wanted to start with these 6 goals. And we did this because we didn't want to have shiny object syndrome. We wanted to make sure that whatever we did in our modernization wasn't just cool, neat, or fancy, but actually served some component of our mission. So we identified the 6 goals and got to work on what that meant in terms of translating to the modernization effort. And I want to pause here real quick and say that 10 years may not seem like a long lifespan for a system in state government. I'm sure some of you have punch cards still on your desk. But when the ACA was maturing, we were constantly receiving new federal, state, and security regulations requirements all the time. And that meant that we were in a constant state of development. the legislation adds a new cost sharing reduction program, or we have a new business rule that we need to add, like we're going to have special enrollment periods for people on strikes, things like that are always coming through. So our system needs to be flexible in order to handle those new requests. And we just couldn't do it. And then the pandemic hit, and we really, really struggled because there were all sorts of new rules that we had to implement. So Covered California, DHCS, OTSI, and Deloitte approached the modernization with these 4 key components in mind. We're going to move to the cloud and wholly embrace it. We selected AWS as our partner for that. We're going to move to a microservices architecture. So get completely out of the monolithic systems architecture into something that we could easily update, test, and deploy. We're going to try to go more with open source, so we get a stronger support community and out of proprietary software. And we introduced a variety of really cutting-edge AI observability tools to make sure that everything was staying up and running and everything could self-heal. For example, if we need more compute, can we automatically add more compute? Here's a look at the results of that modernization effort. I think the afterstats speak for themselves. Bigger, better, faster, across the board in all ways. We dropped those long wait times to under 5% of transactions took longer than 60 seconds. Absolutely no more throttling. We lowered costs, we served more consumers, and most importantly for me, besides keeping everything up and running, is we put ourselves in a position where we can do new and interesting things. For example, we just completed a pilot where we started an A/B testing program, and this spring we're going to introduce real-time A/B testing to our platform. And I want to share that because we heard a lot of conversations about improving consumer experience, but the A/B testing results from our pilot, we just changed one icon next to a question to something that was a little more descriptive to the question. We saw a 30% gain in processing through that question after just changing an icon. So the power of A/B testing is strong, and this will be the first time that we've had the ability to do it in real time and make updates to the UI in real time. So now back to our story. The phones were down. We were unreachable. Through those partnerships and that modernization and the technical expertise that we gained in learning how to use the cloud better, we were able to rapidly assemble a project team and had a plan by Friday night to leverage the new AWS environment and stand up a brand new contact center stack over the weekend. And I wanted to say, I think, Adam, your team might have negotiated Prime 2-day shipping in our AWS contract. That might be how we got that. So I'm going to be honest with you, it was a hard weekend. It was long, everyone was working around the clock, but by Monday morning, our service center representatives were being trained on a brand new system. So we even rolled out all new training materials over the weekend. So they're all being trained on a brand new system. A few hours later, they were taking calls. Now, we were nowhere close to feature parity at this point. We went truly with an MVP so that we could take calls and make sure that people were able to access that high-quality, affordable healthcare. And this would not have been possible without that investment that Covered California and DHCS made in CalHEERS and that tireless partnership from OTSI and Deloitte to help us get that done, including our new partners with AWS. So we looked at this, every crisis can be an opportunity, and now that we are on that modern contact center platform using AWS Connect with Salesforce, Verint, and CalHEERS, we can leverage these to do things like automate call transcriptions in any language. We can do sentiment analysis on all calls. So all QA can be automated across all calls. Right now, it's a select randomly and listen in and do your QA. We can do it across all calls with this new sentiment analysis tools. That sentiment analysis tools and transcriptions can imagine the research opportunities to truly understand what is preventing consumers from taking the next step or actually getting that health insurance. So we're very excited about that. We're also looking to test out new AI after-hours call handling tools. So very excited about what this change brought. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Adam, for having me, and I truly appreciate your time.